Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. And as you can see, we're getting back to our Social Security series, talking about something that is very pertinent today, considering a disastrous bill just got passed. I will not be speaking on that at much length today. I'm still too upset. And me speaking now would not do me or you any good. But we are going to address today specifically the very false idea that taxpayers are flipping the bill, paying out Social Security for illegal immigrants. Well, folks, this is the official website of the United States government in regards to the Social Security Department. And we are going to be taking a look at non-citizens that would be eligible for SSI and exactly what all that would take in order to be able to qualify for it. But before we do, brief disclaimer, all the sources that I use as we go throughout the Social Security and Supplemental Security Income series, you're going to be able to find quite conveniently right there in the description box with corresponding labels. That way, if you'd like to deep dive the subject on your own, or you're just someone who likes to check sources, it will be all conveniently right there for you to peruse at your own fingertips. Trigger warning. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. I do have used profanity. We do cover some dark topics like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center, Circle of Hope, or Agape Boarding School for Boys. So if you have a child that is 16 and younger and they are watching this, parental supervision is advised. Political trigger warning. If you are gung-ho MAGA, or you are gung-ho left, I am neither of those, and actually have been very upset with both sides for quite some time, which means more than likely, as we go throughout the mini-series we are currently working on in regards to this channel, I am probably going to say something that offends you. My comments are open, yes, because I like to foster healthy and fair debate on the facts. What I will not tolerate is ad hominem attacks. So, if you're an individual who's going to sit here and make a comment of, you must be suffering for Trump derangement syndrome, spare yourself the time and spare me the stupidity. If you cannot make a coherent argument with the facts at hand, it may be best for you to not make such comments, because I'm only going to remove them anyway. If you make comments in regards, well, shouldn't their families help? Or anything of that nature in regards to family situations that you know absolutely nothing about, your comment will be removed and you will be blocked from the channel. I am a small beans channel. I do not have thousands upon thousands of subscribers. I do not get paid for the work that I do on this channel, which means I don't have to tolerate it. This is your only warning you'll receive on the matter. Nobody has time for that. Alright? Good. Okay. So, under what circumstances may a non-citizen be eligible for SSI? A non-citizen, also called an alien for immigrant purposes, may be eligible for supplemental security income if he or she meets the requirements of the laws for non-citizens that went into effect on August the 22nd, 1996. In general, beginning August 22nd, 1996, most non-citizens must meet two requirements to be potentially eligible for SSI. One moment, sorry, allergies. Be a qualified alien category, and meet a condition that allows qualified aliens to get SSI. Excuse me. So who is a qualified alien? There are 7 categories of qualified aliens. You're a qualified alien if the Department of Homeland Security says you are in one of these categories. Number 1, lawfully admitted for permanent residence, or LAPR, in the U.S., which includes Ameri-Asian immigrant as defined in PL 100-202, the class of admission AM1 through AM8. Number 2, granted conditional entry under Section 203A7 of the Immigration and Nationality Act as in effect before April the 1st, 1980. Number 3, paroled into the U.S. under Section 212D5 of the INA for a period of at least 1 year. 4, refugee admitted to the U.S. under Section 207 of the INA. Number 5, granted asylum under Section 28 of the INA. 6, deportation is being withheld under Section 243H of the INA as in effect before April the 1st, 1997, or removal being withheld under Section 241B3 of the INA. Or 7, a Cuban or Haitian entrant as defined in Section 501E of the Refugee Education Assistance Act of 1980, or in a status that is treated as a Cuban Haitian entrant for SSI purposes. In addition, you can be deemed qualified alien if under certain circumstances you, your child, or your parent were subjected to battery or extreme cruelty by a family member while in the United States. Under what conditions may a qualified alien be eligible for SSI benefits? If you are in one of the 7 qualified alien categories listed above, you may be eligible for SSI if you also meet one of the following conditions. Number 1, you were receiving SSI and lawfully residing in the United States on August 22nd, 1996. 2, you are an LAPR with 40 qualifying quarters of work. Work done by your spouse or parent may also count toward 40 quarters of work, but only for getting SSI. Quarters of work earned after December the 31st, 1996 cannot be counted if you, your spouse, or your parent who worked received certain benefits from the United States government based on limited income and resources during that period. Important, if you entered the United States on or after August 22nd, 1996, then you may not be eligible for SSI for the first 5 years as a LAPR, even if you have 40 qualifying quarters of coverage. Number 3, you are currently in active duty in the U.S. Armed Forces, or you are honorably discharged veteran, and your discharge is not because you are a non-citizen. This condition may apply if you are the spouse, surviving spouse, or dependent child of a certain U.S. military personnel. Number 4, you were lawfully residing in the U.S. on August the 22nd, 1996, and you are blind or have a qualifying disability. 5, you may receive SSI for a maximum of 7 years from the date DHS granted you immigration status in one of the following categories, and the status was granted within 7 years of filing for SSI. Refugee under Section 207 of the INA, asylee under Section 208 of the INA, non-citizen whose deportation was withheld under Section 243H of the INA or whose removal is withheld under Section 241B3 of the INA, Cuban or Haitian entrant under Section 501E of the Refugee Education Assistance Act of 1980, or in a status that is to be treated as a Cuban or Haitian entrant for SSI purposes, or Amer-Asian immigrant pursuant to PL 100-202 for class of admission of AM1 through AM8. For purposes of SSI eligibility, individuals are not considered qualified aliens if they were admitted to the U.S. under the provisions of the Victims of Trafficking and Violence Protection Act of 2000. Their eligibility is subject to the proper certification in such status by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the possession of a valid T non-immigration visa. Once the non-citizen obtains proper certification, underline that, capitalize every single letter in your head, and in possession of a T non-immigrant visa, they may become eligible for SSI. You don't have proper documentation, you're not legal, you can't get benefits. So this idea that taxpayers are flipping the bill for these individuals to receive health care, Social Security, and SNAP is completely false. And folks, my source is the United States government. You have a problem with the things that I'm reporting it to you, take it up with them. Exemption from the August 22nd, 1996 laws for certain non-citizen idiots. Certain categories of non-citizens eligible for SSI are not subject to the August 26, 1996 law. These categories include the American Indians born in Canada who were admitted to the U.S. under Section 289 of the Immigration and Nationality Act, or non-citizen members of a federally recognized Indian tribe under Section 4E of the Indian Self-Determination and Education Assistance Act. Additional non-citizen categories: victims of severe forms of human trafficking. You may be eligible for SSI under certain circumstances if the Department of Health and Human Services Office of Refugee Resettlement and the Department of Homeland Security determines that you meet the requirements of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act of 2000. Iraqi and Afghan special immigrants. If you are an Iraqi or an Afghan national who was admitted to the U.S. as a special immigrant, you may qualify for 7 years of SSI benefits if you served as a translator or interpreter for the U.S. Armed Forces in Iraq or Afghanistan if you worked for the U.S. government in Iraq. You want to get mad about that? Go blame George W. Bush. He's kind of how we ended up in this mess in the first place. He certainly was one of the domino tipping points. Afghan humanitarian parolee or Afghan non-special immigrant parolee. You may qualify for SSI if you are an Afghan humanitarian parolee or Afghan non-special immigrant parolee. On September the 30th, 2021, Congress passed the Afghanistan Supplemental Appropriations Act 2022, Public Law 117-43, and Section 2502 of this legislation provides that Afghan humanitarian parolees, known as non-special immigrant parolees, may qualify for SSI until March 31st, 2023, or until the end of their parole period, whichever is later. Ukrainian humanitarian parolee. If you are a Ukraine humanitarian parolee who were paroled between February the 24th, 2022 and September the 30th, 2024, or paroled after September the 30th, 2023, if you are the spouse or child of such an individual, or parent, legal guardian, or primary caregiver of an unaccompanied minor that is such an individual, you may qualify for SSI. Certain citizens of Compact-Free Association States, C of A. You may qualify if you are a citizen of Federated States of Micronesia, Republic of Marshall Islands, and the Republic of Palau, including certain spouses or children under the age of 21 of a citizen in the Federated States of Micronesia or the Republic of the Marshall Islands, regardless of their citizenship or nationality, provided that the citizen on which their relationship is based is serving on active duty in any branch of the United States Armed Forces or in active reserves. We need proof of your immigration status. This is the biggest one, and thank God they got it all capitalized. This is from a federal site, so again, maggot, you don't like it? Take it up with them, not me. I report facts, not feelings. Let me read that again. We need proof of your immigration status. If you apply for SSI benefits, you must give us proof of your immigration status, such as current DHS admission departure form I-94, form I-551, or an order from an immigration judge showing withholding or removal of granting asylum. If you have served in the U.S. Armed Forces, you may also need to give us proof of military service, such as U.S. military discharge papers, DD Form 214, showing an honorable discharge. Your local Social Security office can tell you what other types of evidence you can submit to prove your non-citizen status. So what does that mean, my MAGA friends? That means that we, the taxpayers, are not flipping the bill for illegals to get Social Security. It means if you hope to get Social Security and you are an immigrant, you better have your correct documentation with you when you put in an application for Social Security or Supplemental Security income. If you do not, you're not getting SSI. So that is a blatant falsehood. Okay? What if you have a sponsor? When you enter the U.S., you may have had someone sign an agreement with DHS to provide support for you. We call this agreement an affidavit of support, and we call the person who signs it your sponsor. If you have a sponsor, we generally will count their and their spouse's income and resources as your income and resources. Your local Social Security office can give you more information about these rules and how they apply in your case. Now, of course, they give you more information on how to become a U.S. citizen. But as you can see it in the black and white right there, again, the U.S. taxpayer is not subsidizing any illegal immigrant to get Social Security or Supplemental Security income. Anyone who is an immigrant that wants to partake in these benefits has to be legal, have to have proof of their immigration status, among other documentation, as well as fit the other eligibility criteria that we've also gone over on this channel. This is the truth. You don't have to like it, but you should really think about stopping peddling the Trump talking points by Caroline Leavitt or Speaker House Johnson. Because in actuality, I just proved one more time in a different department that that is not true. Gonna close on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, don't forget to hit the comments, and don't forget to double check on that notification bell. If you haven't hit it already, please go ahead and do so that you can get notifications to let you know as we get new videos up. We have multiple series going on, so that notification bell is going to be very, very, very useful as we continue on with these series. I want folks to know that they have been lied to. I'm going to continue to show it and provide all of my sources right there in the description box for you to pull up on your own, because I don't believe you should have to take my word for it. I do appreciate your time, and as always, folks, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you all later.